are again. What day is it today? Saturday, I think? Saturday. What's everybody in the world doing today? Probably a lot of thinking after yesterday's conversation with Rich. I've been getting some texts from our friend Darren Clark. Darren's the one who sent in the video from not far away from my house. Overly far away. That we had those whatever was getting whacked on those trees, escorting his ass out of there, I guess. And then he's back at it again today. He sent me some photographs of what he found. I think he's on the verge of having a face-to-face, possibly. If not today. I don't know. Anyways, I said I'd go there with him. We'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure what I would get out of that. I don't know. The photos he sent today, maybe we'll have him on again and he can share. We'll share what he took pictures of just right this last 10 minutes. And he can tell us all about it. And then we can try to figure out maybe possibly what these bones came from. Or if anybody else has seen examples of what he just ran into in the forest just minutes ago. And it's kind of unnerving. He said the whole forest is dead quiet. Feels like everything's staring at him. He found these bones, big bones, and intentionally placed in different positions. One's way up a tree, like two bones stacked on top each other, pointing like at an L or something, and he looked the way they were pointing, and then he found two more big bones. One in some rocks on a rock bluff, with the other one cradled, sitting on top of it, white, cleaned off bones. And he doesn't feel comfortable where he is right now. So anyway, but he keeps pushing the envelope over there. That place has been noted as a frequented zone for a long time. But he's been safe for the most part. He hasn't been having any bad, nothing's really come at him. I don't think he's had say anything in his head yet, or tell him to physically leave. But anyway, we'll see. We'll see what's going to come. Because what am I doing today? Later on today, I'm going to head out to the coast, and I have to get my boats in the water now. The guide boats in the water. And I'm going to get it, all the gear put back on it, get it all tidy, ready to rip. Because where Darren is, I can go there with my boat and tie up. And go to where all this is going down with him. We'll see. We'll see. My gut's not screaming at me, yeah, go. They want you to go hike in there. My gut's not telling me that. I don't know. I'm on the fence, man. I'm absolutely on the fence whether or not to open up that door. Intentionally. I mean, everywhere I go, as everybody knows, I say out loud, just leave me alone. Leave me alone. I know you're here. I'm here too. I was born and live here too. Is my attitude. I don't give a shit what anybody says about that one. I'm an equal human being with all human beings on this planet today. And I was born here. And I get to go anywhere I want. Except somebody's frickin' private home. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. All the wildlife, all the game, all the species share the same forests and mountains. I don't get excluded. That's what I'm saying. We all share.
Flexible ways to redeem.
Now, I guess why did I say that? Because I'm still intent on doing what I love to do. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I'll go there, use my gut instincts, and see how it goes from there. If I decide to jump into the heart of this area that Darren has been frequenting. I'd like to meet up with his native friend, though, at the same time, who has physically seen these beings there multiple times. And have a conversation with him, see what knowledge we can gain, right? But I think we've gained a lot. If you've been here for any amount of time, we've gained a lot of knowledge, right? Yesterday's video should have been a major few flights of steps for many of you out there. It should have been. If you're open to listening and learning, right? I was kind of having half a laugh to myself this morning, thinking about just what these beings have done for sales for trail cameras. It's off the chart, right? Now, let's get right into hearing from the people. It's titled An Amazing Experience with Sasquatch. All right. Steve sent this to you 3 or 4 years ago, but it has never been read. So I'm sending it again. I have experienced much more with the Sasquatch, including mind speak, and having them show up in my home. Not all Sasquatches are 7 to 10 feet tall. Some Sasquatch are very small, but they have the same crazy abilities as the larger ones. They can even get into a home with locked doors and windows. Excuse me. Well, that's what the word on the street is. Rich had his home described perfectly from the inside. The Sasquatch are in our cities. My home in San Francisco looks out onto a stand of mature trees. I have photographed the Sasquatch numerous times in and around these trees. What I'm going to say right now, what my gut says, because I'm an open book and we're sitting at the same coffee table. As soon as I hear someone say, I've photographed them lots of times, that's a red flag for me. I'm going to tell you right now, right off the word go, because of what we know with photography and these beings. The Sasquatch here are mostly nocturnal, and they show up every evening as soon as it's dark outside, and then they disappear at first light. I've had many experiences with the Sasquatch, but in this email I will share 3 experiences that I have had happen since the fall of 2020. First, I want to share an experience that confirms the fighter pilot's story in Afghanistan about the Sasquatch seeing the near light. That would have been the infrared light from the targeting laser on his jet. Last year I was playing with the LiDAR scanner on my iPhone Pro. LiDAR, light detection and ranging, allows you to measure distances by firing a pulsed laser at an object and timing how quickly it returns to the receiver. LiDAR operates in the, hold it for the drum roll, near IR range. I was pointing my iPhone's LiDAR scanner at the branches of the large tree across the street when suddenly out of nowhere, a giant 2-foot wide, dark-colored, menacing-looking face appeared at the base of the tree. And next to it was a 2.5-foot tall man, and it was a Sasquatch. I realized that it could see the near IR light coming from my phone, and it was letting me know that it wasn't happy about me aiming it at the tree. There's no doubt in my mind that these beings have eyesight that is far superior to ours. In November 2020, I was 45 minutes south of my home in Redwood City. I was on a 40-acre property that had large pine trees on it. I was walking around the property enjoying the beautiful, cool fall evening. I walked up to a pine tree with a huge wood burl when I saw a 5-foot-tall Sasquatch coming out from inside the wood burl. I immediately stopped and reached for my iPhone that was in my pocket to take some photos of the Sasquatch. I was less than 20 feet from the Sasquatch when I opened my camera. I could see it clear as day on my iPhone's OLED screen, and I was in awe by what I saw and didn't feel any fear. When I glanced up from my phone screen to look at the Sasquatch, it was gone. It had disappeared in the split second that I'd taken my eyes off the camera's screen. My last experience with Sasquatch happened April 3rd, 2021. It was a little after 10 p.m. when I looked out from the living room windows and saw a bright light across the street where there wasn't a light source. I grabbed my phone and started taking pictures. I've included a couple of photos at the end of this email. On my phone screen, I could see a Sasquatch holding a very bright light about waist high next to the fence across the street. Steve, I was awestruck by what I saw. I tried to get my wife and 2 sons to look at it, but they didn't want anything to do with it. The Sasquatch was there for almost 2 hours before it suddenly disappeared. It didn't get up and walk away. Instead, it simply vanished. One moment it was there, and then poof, it was gone. The entire time I was looking at this creature, I thought to myself, holy shit, this is amazing. I couldn't believe what I was looking at, but there it was. Sasquatch knew I was looking at it, but it didn't appear concerned that I saw it. I even shouted, hey, at it from my living room window, but it never flinched. I considered calling the police to report it, but what could I say to them without sounding like I was mentally challenged or high on drugs? And no, I don't drink or do drugs. Seeing that creature with the bright light on the fence across the street was an eye-opening experience. I keep receipts, so here's the photo. When the creature on the fence disappeared, a small bluish totem appeared in its place on the fence. What's interesting about the totem is the Sasquatch show up here in that same spot every night. What's more interesting is the ones who show up change every couple months. It's like they're coming here on vacation then leaving. I've seen a Sasquatch many times, and they don't all look alike. All the crazy things that you've heard about Sasquatch, orbs, strange lights in the trees, translucent shimmering beings, shadow beings, and more, I've seen around my home in San Francisco. As soon as it gets dark outside, that's when the high strangeness begins. I have a lot more to share, but for brevity's sake and giving other people a chance to be heard, I'll share much more in the future. I told you about all the crazy things I've experienced with the Sasquatch. This could be a book. Cheers to everyone at the round table. Until next time, stay safe out there. Best regards, Tom. All right, Tom. Appreciate you sending that in, man. And again, what am I going to say to this? For me. Just for me, man. And I'm just sitting at the coffee table, and you're my friend sitting next to me. There's nothing clear in these photos to me. I don't see shit being clear. I see the clear wood panels. I see the clear tree trunks. I see clear green leaves. I see the clear windshield of a car. I see a clear fence post. I don't see a clear Sasquatch anywhere in the photo. Okay? I see a bright light. And I see that light is gone. Oh, I see. Okay, there's two different ones. There's a light. Something very odd and gone, and then something. So, don't be getting all upset and pulling a Karen on my ass either, okay? Because just because I'm sharing exactly what I see in the photos. But if you could, I don't know what to say. Take a clear photo of those two spots again in broad daylight. I don't know. I don't know what to compare it to for me, okay? Sounds pretty alarming what the hell's going on around your place. But if these beings are coming every single night, and if you caught that on your camera, I would imagine you could probably get a quality camera and set it up and let it rip and get true, clear photos. Maybe, possibly, I don't know. There you go, you guys. Take from what you will or leave it. I wasn't there. Sounds interesting and alarming and odd. Now, I gotta remember to put these photos in the video, right? Okay, who's next? I don't think this is related, but it's short. So I'm going to let her rip. Here we go. Humorous, but also tragically true. Formal education's purpose. Hello again, Steve. I send this rant to you to do with as you will. I withhold my name from the haters. I've heard you speaking about how homeschooling is the way, perhaps the only way to save us from this obvious downward spiral into oblivion. My words, I agree. Just a few days ago, I made this statement, which I honestly believe is true. I said, quote, I knew more after the 6th grade in 1962 than most college kids know today when they graduate, end quote. More being common sense, problem solving, facts, and general knowledge. Anyway, I just thought of something that I must share. I can actually picture you repeating it as one of your favorite sayings, such as, take from what you will or leave it, and I wasn't there, and prove me wrong. All good sayings. The relaxed standards for completing one grade in school and going to the next grade, which are used within formal education, including higher education's graduation requirements, exactly represent the actual purpose of formal government certified education as being not to teach students, but to dumb them down. Why else would schools be graduating window lickers by the millions? It is the only feasible explanation. It is why female college students are protesting for some culture, which teaches that women are subhuman creatures to be beaten, raped, and murdered indiscriminately at man's discretion. Huh? Should these college women not be protesting against such a culture? Who above window licker status would fight for the right to be mistreated like that? Nobody in her right mind with intelligence. My point is that at a certain stage of window licking school, this order from the great Board of Education is given that I picture you saying, go ahead and pass them and give them degrees. They are dumb enough. The dumbing down mission is accomplished. Here's your diploma, kids. Truth is that when kids pass in that school, they fail. They are dumb enough. All they need is a window to get started. Tragic, but true. Take care, keep fighting the fine fight, my friend. Oh, I won't stop. Yeah, I've said enough about the school for 1 week, I think. I'll bite my lip. I think. Everybody knows my stance on the school system. The whole system's wrong. Everything's wrong. We've all been lied to. It's unfortunate, just like Rich and I are on the exact same page with a lot, and we actually had a good conversation before we hit the record, actually, about all the freaking evil going on. But the one thing that's good, in a way, which also Rich mentioned, was that no matter how bad it gets in our communities and society today, it needs to happen. The worse things get, the more the dark characters stand out to community. And that's what's going down. So, like I was mentioning, okay, I'll go on this topic just for a minute. Like I was saying to Rich earlier before we hit record, I'm like, I cannot believe myself that an elite team hasn't just gone and cleaned house. But apparently there has been some speech of that with some people. And I guess the word on the street is, if they had done that, it would have created nothing but chaos, war, and destruction nonstop. So the correct route, and I can see that as being correct, the correct route is to just keep letting everything spiral. Keep letting the dark people who are creating the spiral, they just keep getting more desperate and more desperate as all of us become more aware and they expose themselves. And it should all be leading to a head where we get to fix it. But it's kind of like you got to fill a boat up with water before you can find all the holes, right? On land. On land. I screwed that one up. But you have to see all of the leaks in a dam, right? You got to see all the leaks in a dam, all the leaks in a boat before you can fix the ship or the dam. And they're all showing themselves quite blatantly. Now, babbling. Sasquatch in Sedona, Arizona is the next email here. Brother, my name is Daniel Taylor, and I'm a newly retired police officer out of Los Angeles, 25 years. I recently moved to Oklahoma, Tulsa/Broken Arrow. Not too long ago, my wife, daughter, and I were in Sedona, Arizona. While stopping to see the sights of heavy running creek water, you walk down a little embankment to see the stream. I was taking a pee while my wife and daughter were looking at the stream of water. As I was peeing, my wife observed a tall, approximately 7 to 8 foot tall, dark and hairy Sasquatch to her left. My right, because where I was facing, approximately 100 yards away. The Sasquatch was moving towards our direction, but in a very slow and silent approach. My wife screamed out, "Run!" I didn't know what was going on, but automatically knew it was serious. Training and experience really has an effect on an officer for the rest of our lives. My wife knew I was packing, and it didn't register with her that I was armed when she'd observed the Sasquatch. We immediately ran up the embankment, and all I could think about was to lay cover fire to give me time to get in the car. At the top of the small embankment, I drew my firearm and I shot one round in the general direction to hopefully get him or her to pause. I was able to fire one round, and it did give us time to get in the car and flee the scene without further incident. Date, February 2000. Time, between 1600 and 1700 hours. North 89A from Sedona, Arizona to Flagstaff, Arizona, just past downtown Sedona, Arizona. along the side of the 2-lane road next to the creek that runs through the area. Notification, none. Don Taylor. May the Lord bless you and your family. And yours too, man. Sounds alarming. So did you get to see it? Or she just saw it? Your wife observed it. I wonder what she saw. I wonder what she retains in detail. One thing I think everyone should take note of is when it seems to be when the description is like what Rich said yesterday. Ridiculously wide shoulders with basketballs for traps. Over-exaggerated, ridiculous, muscled. It seems to be that when that is this description, that seems to be when the red flag, the red alert goes up for humans. I'm finding that one anyway for me. It's like, Each time somebody has that description, it's usually not a happy being. Right? And I know, but you're going to say, well, that's the males. That's the males of the clan, of the herd. Whatever it is, maybe it is the males, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's a different flavor of being. Maybe the other beings that they say, tall, skinny, lanky, covered in hair, maybe they're different. Maybe they're different. You never know. Might be two different beings. I don't know yet. But I do know that when you get that description of the ridiculous muscle features and wide shoulders, those dudes seem to mean business. On average. From what I'm reading from all of you. And I take note of that shit for me. I take note of it. Don't you think? Now, Sasquatch on Guilford Island. Just title this email. Hi, Steve. You choose to read this, just use my initials, CB. Gotcha. I really enjoy your channel and listened to you for several months. Then I had the thought that I knew you from somewhere. Were you a logger near Viscount Island up Knights Inlet, say around 2001-ish? No. I worked at a nearby fish farm at Sargent Pass. You would come over from your camp in a small Boston whaler powered by a Honda 50 outboard to watch hockey on our TV. Wasn't me. Another day you led a couple of us to your cut block to demonstrate how to fell a tree. At least it might have been you, but I just can't be sure. If that wasn't you, then disregard this first part of my email. Okay, gotcha. A couple years later, I moved to another farm site located around the corner at Dr. Inlet, anchored just off Guilford Island. It was there that a work buddy and I both experienced the terrifying hollers/screams of what must have been a Sasquatch hidden in the thick woods of Guilford Island. It screamed 3 times within 10 minutes and was accompanied by the typical gripping fear that only a sound that vicious and loud could induce. And I'll add, it sounded angry. We never saw it. However, my work buddy reported that a few days earlier, while sweeping the rear deck of the feed shed, he noticed golf ball-sized stones being lobbed onto the deck from the edge of the forest. The floating shed he was sweeping was anchored about 100 meters off Guilford Island. No one lived on this side of the island. It's a very big island. However, loggers had just begun operations there the week or two previously. Associated, I'm going to sneeze. I associated the two events together and presumed the Sasquatch were upset that their home was being invaded and cut down. My observations after listening to your and other Sasquatch podcasts are that Sasquatch behave in generally 2 ways. Curious/mischievous or hostile. Being as they seem very intelligent, it would make them sense that they can get bored, so they find some entertainment in watching us, while trying not to be seen. However, there are a few triggers that can make them hostile. Again, after listening to the many shared stories, I conclude that things that make them upset could be fire/logging, threat to their home, guns, threat to them directly, Cameras, game cams, threaten their stealthiness. Dogs, I believe dogs can reveal their presence better than humans alone can detect them, whether by their superior sense of smell or hearing. Anyways, I think dogs tend to blow their cover. Anyways, keep doing what you're doing to bring the truth to light. Just please be careful, as I'm sure you're aware, there could be some powerful people in government and industry who depend on this secret remaining such, and as you get closer and closer to the truth, those people would be getting nervous, and you might become their target. I can only imagine the disruption to the logging and outdoor tourism industries if Sasquatch were finally officially acknowledged. As well, millions of dollars in liability claims would be aimed at government for all the missing hikers, which could have been prevented if the public were made aware of the presence of Sasquatch living amongst us. That's my nickel's worth. Stay safe, kind regards. Okay, man, appreciate that email. I don't know. I'm up in the air about the logging thing. I think only once. I think it was one of the ladies. I think they knew of a place where the loggers were going to go cut a new block up behind where their community is. And then something happened and they dropped it. So that's one time I heard of them ceasing, logging plans. But like here in Vancouver Island, I remember years ago, Vancouver Island was on the cover of Time magazine as an example of the worst example of clear-cut logging on the planet at that time. That was in the 80s, I think, or something. But anyway, what I'm saying is, if you could go rip around here on this island right now and see what the logging has done, how they've done it, I mean, they've shaved the living shit out of it. So, but these beings are still here. And I haven't heard of one logger that was assaulted. Ever. I haven't heard of one faller. I've never heard of a faller that was physically stopped. Don't cut that tree. Get out of here. I haven't heard of any faller who was physically chased out of the timber just as he's getting ready to level off a whole frickin' mountain. Right? So, if these beings were geared up to stop us, blow a gasket because the timber's about to get shaved off a hill, why didn't they do something about it? Why not? Right? I mean, if you just try to look at it from a human point of view, a human's eyes. All right, I'm on my mountain. I've been here for thousands of years, and how many generations that includes for these beings, who knows? I don't know. Might even be one for all we know. But I know with my attitude, if that's going down, no, you're not going to be cutting these trees down. You're going to leave. Right? But they're not. And they're still here. So it's a little confusing. They're not physically chasing, stopping loggers. But they're still here. Anyway, appreciate that email, man. Appreciate you coming forward big time. It's raining outside. Perfect. Get that hay growing. This one's titled Cicero. Cicero. Swamp. Cicero Swamp, my Bigfoot. Back in 2001, a friend and I were relaxing next to a fire in Cicero Swamp, Cicero, New York. We've been doing this for at least 30 years. To let the stress of life ease on past. This swamp is over 50 square miles. 7 by 8 miles of thick swamp with tiny islands spread throughout. I've hunted and rode ATVs there since I was in my teens. 50 years ago, one time I did get the creeps while in the swamp. I was bow hunting in my tree stand about a quarter mile in when I just all of a sudden felt weird. My senses went on full alert, scanning the surrounding area slowly, expecting a monster buck to show itself. I saw about 20 feet away, hairy movement, about 8 to 9 feet up in the thick brush. I raised my bow, not even contemplating what I was looking at. Then it very slowly backed away. It was last light, so I couldn't actually see what it was. Chills ran up and down my spine. Let me make this clear. It was not a deer, a bear, or a moose. Yes, moose and black bear are occasionally seen in the swamp, or anything that should have been there. I stood frozen in my stand for a long time, but now it was dark, and I cue you to make haste and leave the area pronto. I eased away. Fast forward 2 to 3 years, Friday night, 2 a.m., the fire pit. 2 a.m. at the fire pit, and as we talked about the day and life in general, we heard what sounded like an elephant bugle. Rolled into a snort, rolled into a lion's roar, then morphed into all I can describe as a huge, ultra-loud, gorilla-type roar. Startled, me and my friend looked at each other in amazement. One of us said, "What was that?" Then the sounds came again. Same, but more intense, louder, more demanding. This was from about 100 yards out through the woods, in the actual swampy part of the swamp. No one would be there. If they were in there, they would need a boat and an amplifier, speakers, etc., to approach the volume of this sound. It was so loud, you could feel it in your bones. When I try to explain it to the people, I compare it to a top fuel dragster's noise as it completely penetrates the air, shutting off all surrounding sound. That's freaking loud, right? We looked at each other and I tried my best to return scream the same way. Then walked deeper into the woods to get closer to the yell. Yes, I got chills as I got closer to the area. As I crept, I heard the disturbing sound of spinning tires and flying dirt and gravel as my brave hunting buddy took off in his truck at breakneck speed. Pussy. His words, not mine. Anyway, I thought now was a good time to leave the area. I won't ever forget that sound. I've heard similar sounds on Bigfoot stories online. I still hunt there today with no more scary stuff since then. My buddy refuses to talk about it with others. Much prodding will get him to admit it, but no extrapolation. Love you do, Steve. Keep it up, buddy. Thanks. No last name. Gotcha, man. You know, it's one thing I've noticed is the people who experience these sounds that rattle your cage, everyone gets it across clearly. They not the exact same way, it's pretty similar, but everyone who describes how intense the sounds were, you get it across pretty clear to me, the intensity. I haven't experienced that yet. Like I said, that sound that I heard last fall, wasn't it? Last fall? Excuse me, I don't know what the hell it was, you know? A clang, a bang, combo, I don't know. It's just very intense, a very frickin' loud noise coming from back in that timber, but it wasn't a voice. It definitely wasn't a scream. It was something else. It was something. But, yeah, I don't know what it was. But I get back to the other time I heard was back when I was intentionally trying to look into these beings. And now that I look back, you know, we were talking about yesterday about inviting. When you open that door, you give that permission for somebody to come into your existence. That seems to be makes sense, because when I was intentionally looking, I had almost instant results in a way, whatever you want to call it. You know, the first time when I'm looking at this map, I'm considering these are just walking beings. I'm not quite sure yet how they're hiding all their footprints, and I'm going at it like I would game in a way, but intelligent game, and I try to figure out how maybe they might cross over from the Squamish Valley, the head of it, where they may cross over into the Pemberton Valley, and from there where they go. And I ended up picking a spot called North Creek and South Creek in the Upper Pemberton Valley. And I thought, well, if they are moving through, and they have to conceal themselves from all those snowmobilers all winter too, up above, they're going to go through this timber cross right here. And that's why I picked the zone. Then bam, first time I snuck in there, and I knew of a hidden meadow in there. And I had a young kid with me who was a wrangler up north, and I heard a three-toned, not a howl, but like a whoo. those type of sounds, but 3-toned, way too long to be human. That sound was probably only about maybe 100 yards from us in the thick bush. And there's no way it was a wolf. Not a chance. It wasn't a wolf, wasn't human. So anyway, I remember the kid going, "Did you hear that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, man." We just stood there watching. And then I took it as, "Oh, I'm busted." And I nailed it. I nailed where to look, and I'm busted. So the next time I went, I waited a week. I always wait a week before going. And then I parked my truck and I'm looking at other areas too this whole time, not just this one particular spot. But then I parked my truck, I think 2 kilometers back on the main logging road, and then I snuck into the timber, got on the edge of the Lillooet River, and then I started going up till I got to that meadow, and I had a camera on a tripod, and I had a 300 Magnum, just because, and I had it hidden in the grass at my feet, thinking, "Oh yeah, that's pretty slick, right? They don't know I got a gun." And then, I had a buddy with me too, from up north, and then something beat on a cottonwood, because all the big trees down there in the bottom of the valley, right where we were right here, was all cottonwood, and something was cranking into that, and you could hear the swoosh through the underbrush branches before whatever it was impacted. It's so funny, my friend, he just looked at me and went, "You need thumbs to do that." That's all he said, and he wasn't a Sasquatch guy, right? He's a very experienced hunting guide and mountain horseman. But anyway, yeah, and then another time I snuck in there before that, and same thing, had my camera, a tripod, and my rifle, and across the meadow, about 140 yards from me, something black pop up. I almost call it a game of Frogger. It rose up, down, and I don't know, 15, 20 yards to the right, rose up again, dropped down, and it was in like that, and then did it again over here and did it again over there, and it was like, holy shit, scared the crap out of me. Definitely intentional, and I got goosebumps right now. Got goosebumps from head to toe, and I didn't even think of the camera. Same was when the tree's getting beat. I didn't even think there's nothing there. There's no connection between me and the camera on the tripod when that was all going down. Your brain flatlines. And I know a bunch of you know what I'm talking about. Your brain doesn't even think about what you're originally attempting to do. Your brain doesn't even think that there's a camera. Oh, I better hit record. Not those particular incidents. Not with me. It was just initially, get the F out of here. Get the hell out of here. I gotta get out of here. That's how it was for me. How'd I get on that rant? Talking about the roar and the sound, I guess. I haven't heard that. I haven't experienced anything remotely close to a, quote, rib cage rattling through your soul sound myself. Do I want to? Obviously not. But then again, overall, it's harmless, right? It seems to be harmless. Nobody's had their head ripped off after hearing that intense sound. Everybody seems to survive because we had literally hundreds of people email in that experienced. So maybe I will. I don't know. I'm not asking out loud right now. But I had, having action, and then right near there too is where I was nailing my fencing staples into the side of that huge cedar tree, and they started banging on trees above me and above my sled. And just down the road is where I had my arrow stuck in the frickin' snow, in 4 to 5 feet of snow. I'm the first one to go up this deactivated logging road trapping wolves, and there is my arrow. Was it 7 months later, sticking perfectly straight up out of the snow, and maybe in the snow that far. So those incidents in the knife, right? For me, that just confirmed that we're not dealing with a simple animal. No, we're not. I hope everybody's up to speed with that fact. But you're going to come there, you got to get there on your own, right? Rambling, bambling. All right, here we go. Enough of my rambling. This is titled, "I No Longer Feel Comfortable Alone in the Wilderness." Said many. I've watched your videos going over similar experiences. I wanted to reach out and share something that keeps me up at night and I think about all the time. Okay, man, you found the right place. I'm a 28-year-old male and I've been hunting since I was 7. I've always felt very comfortable and at peace in the wilderness, often hiking, camping, and hunting. My past 2 archery hunts I've gone solo, camping in a remote area in a tent and hiking and hunting for miles by myself, sometimes walking back to camp in the dark. I feel sad that I've lost this sense of comfort and in a way have lost part of what I love. All of this stems from my experience during my last archery hunt. After a few days of chasing elk in northwestern New Mexico, my hunting buddies departed camp as they had to go back to work, leaving me to hunt alone for 5 days. The days of hunting were normal. I covered many miles and had some exciting moments. I hiked joyfully without worry of fear absorbing the challenge and excitement of elk hunting. I carry a .40 caliber pistol on my hip and feel confident in fending off any bear or mountain lion that wants to take a jab at me. I'd get back to camp usually around sunset. I would time my hike back to be nearing camp close to last shooting light. I'd usually cook a meal and lay down in the tent and relax from being on my feet. I'd attach the rain cover to my tent as some of the sounds I'd been hearing outside of my tent made me uneasy. And I would just lay there, paranoid and staring outside if I could, so I'd rather not be able to see out. I preferred the idea of anything outside of my tent being unable to see inside. One of the first nights alone, I laid down and played my Bible audiobook. I'm not major religious, but I had been interested in reading the Bible solely based on its cultural and historical significance. I believe I was listening to Proverbs when I heard rocks rolling, as if getting walked on 40 yards or so from my tent. The multiple times I heard heavy footsteps run past the front of my tent within 20 yards. These footsteps freaked me out and puzzled me because it was as if I could feel their impact through the ground, as if whatever it was coming from was heavy, but didn't hear knocking or galloping sound indicative of a hoofed animal. Another peculiarity is that it seemed that I heard more activity when the Bible audiobook was playing. It was very difficult to sleep, and I heard noises almost every night. After the first night, I started to have some whiskey to ease my nerves before bed, which I noticed did have an effect on my bravery, as I began responding to sounds by opening the tent with a flashlight and drawn pistol and asking who's there. But this noise I heard gives me the chills to this day. It has made me rethink how I will conduct future hunts. One night, laying in the tent, I heard wood-on-wood noise. Knock, knock. These knocks were loud, solid, and sounded deliberate. I played scenarios in my head, trying to justify this sound with a logical explanation. Quote, maybe a branch fell from a tree and hit other branches on the way down. But this didn't make sense to me. If that was the case, you'd hear everything hitting the ground in a more chaotic manner. And it wasn't an elk rubbing its antlers, because elk don't rub their antlers like an effing baseball bat against a tree. I laid there perfectly still, barely breathing, gripping my gun and listening for any information that would make sense of what I heard. I eventually desensitized myself and meditated myself to sleep. I never saw anything, smelled anything, or found anything disturbed that I noticed. But I still cannot explain what I heard out there, and it makes me not want to ever camp alone again. This bothers me, as I love the outdoors and feel like I can now only enjoy the outdoors partially and conditionally. I think I'm very open-minded about supernatural paranormal phenomena, and I think this magnifies my fear, as opposed to someone who doesn't believe anything out of the ordinary exists. From a logical perspective, I can comprehend the possibility of a human species evolving separate and in a different manner from us. And also I often think of the human sense spectrum only being a small sector of detectable frequencies, leaving much potential for things we don't even know of. All this, I think, makes the situation worse, as my imagination goes wild as I'm frozen hearing weird shit happen outside of my tent. I think I need to get this out. I would like some feedback. Think about this almost every day. I'd appreciate any words of advice for coping with the discomfort I've acquired for the remote outdoors. I'd like to find a philosophy for thinking about this in a way that doesn't scare the shit out of me. I want to be more comfortable in the woods again. Feel free to share my story as you please, and thank you for your time. Okay, man. Gotcha. I'm glad you came forward. I hope one thing for sure, a lot of people say that just hearing their email read here helps, right? So hopefully that helps right off the bat. And then, I don't know if, well, excuse me, I don't know how long you've been here, what you know about me, but I've obviously been hunting remote for, I don't know, for years, and many years since I seen one of these things staring at me. And I've said it before, what do I say this almost every day or every couple of days? You just go by what you feel before you go there. If it feels like you're uncertain about it, don't go. It's that simple. Don't go, but don't quit. Just go to a different spot. Even that spot, that episode I had happen to me last year, elk hunting by myself. I mean, I left, I drove far away, sucked my truck that night, and then I went back, got my camp, and I only moved my camp about 4 miles away, right? Which obviously distance doesn't mean shit. Now that we know, we know. But I only moved my camp 4 miles away and threw it on camp again. That's simple for me. And then played it from there. And I still went back to where I was hunting, and where I'm hunting is a frickin' jungle. Like, it's so thick, logged off, grown up again, willow, snarly frickin' hell, the odd little grassy draw in there, and I'm going by myself head first into this shit, and I'm going way back there, and I'm still doing it. That's what I'm saying, even after having the living shit scared out of me over in that patch right over there. So I'm just saying, it can be that simple. For the outdoors person who's nervous, who's feeling off about that place, don't go to that place. Shuffle over a bit and go to that place. And it'll more than likely be flatline calm. And you're good to go. But that's how I've been doing it, and it works for me. What else? I have a funny feeling, because I have been a professional hunting guide for a long time, and I've had to read people and listen to what they say, how they react, and what they do. So for me, when a lot of different hunters, they want to be back at camp before dark, that tells me they're not comfortable in the dark. So I have a feeling from what you said, I can pick it up that you are already previously not that secure walking in the dark. Because as a hunter, I'm staying in my spot until I can't see anything anymore, and then I go back, and that's usually going to be 2 hours walking in the dark. So I'm not, that's nothing bad to say, I'm just saying for me, I think you sounds like you're a little susceptible to being a little nervous in the dark previously anyways, and then this just took you over the edge, obviously. Unfortunate, but don't quit. Don't quit. And if you want to learn more, you know what? Yesterday's video, if you're watching this, yesterday's video should be a lot of knowledge for everybody across the board. It should be. So I'd urge you to listen to yesterday's video and see what you pick up from that. And that will should as well help you govern yourself in the future, or maybe how you think and process this shit, and how you could possibly make it stop if it happens again. Okay, man? Don't quit. Don't quit. Don't quit. Who's next? Here's one. This is titled, and it is pouring rain out there. This is titled Sasquatch Story. Hope this email finds you well. Recently came across one of your videos detailing a story about a group of friends hiking and rock climbing in Lost Horse Canyon in the Bitterroot Mountains of Montana. This is a story a friend of mine told me near the same area. Hopefully it adds some additional validation to those who have seen something up Lost Horse. Anyway, this friend of mine went on an overnight camping and fishing trip to Lost Horse Lake This is a very remote lake that almost no one goes to. I've lived in the Bitterroot Valley almost my entire life and hadn't heard of this lake until he told me about it. It's close to 11-mile hike in remote wilderness to get to it. My friend and a co-worker of his hiked back to this lake and did some late evening fishing. After catching some trout and grilling them up for dinner, the two of them packed it in for the night. Not long after they went to bed, they heard some noise on the outskirts of their camp. Whatever it was, it caused enough of a disturbance that they both got out of their tents with flashlights to take a look. While shining the light out into the nighttime brush, they both saw the reflection of two large eyes. He said whatever it was crouched close to the ground. My first instinct was mountain lion. When I asked him if that was what he thought it was, he said no, the eyes are way too large and spread too far apart. They couldn't actually get a look at the outline of the creature. He said he walked out towards it to try to get a closer look when all of a sudden a gunshot went off right next to his head. His friend had gotten creeped out and shot his .44 Magnum out into the darkness towards the creature. Our friend said his ears were ringing, and he yelled out to his friend, "What the F are you doing?" Whatever was there had run off after the gunshot. The next morning they searched the area and found the bushes where the eyes were, but were unable to find any track or sign as to what it might have been. Endo email. There you go. Bitterroot Mountains, Montana. Lost Horse Canyon. There you go, you guys. Let her rip. Either email me or the comment section below. I've almost been shot in the head a couple times from magnums, and my ears are ringing right now. I can hear it loud and clear. Sucks. And once it's done, it's done. Where are we? Okay. Mark, this is Reddit. Now this is going to be the last one. Gotta get ripping. Sasquatch in the heart of the U.S. is the title of this email. Hello. I'm writing you because I've seen 3 of these creatures face to face and have had many, many encounters. I wanted to type up my stories and my encounters. Not sure if it'll be too long for you. The only problem is, I don't know if you'll believe this. Don't worry, who gives a shit if anybody believes? Doesn't matter what people think. I watch your show and many others. I've researched this subject for years. The problem is this changed my life in a positive way. I was super excited to see them. They were never angry or hostile towards me. Only my first encounter when they pushed down a big oak tree and screamed at me. I'm not sure if having depression for a long before these sightings killed and destroyed any emotions I had. I found a guy deep in some public land during firearm season. We were talking just fine, and he had a heart attack and died in my arms. My friend ran himself over with his Chevy in a drinking accident. Or the fact that my last 2 relationships I've been cheated on miserably. Point being, I want to see them, and I was looking for them. Now, this does not fit into every other eyewitness sighting and does not match everyone's reaction. I feel like my story would maybe take away from what you were trying to tell people as far as how negative this stuff is and how bad it affects people. I don't want to bring any trouble to you or your channel and beliefs. Please let me know if you want me to write out my story or if you are good. Thank you so much for what you're doing. I love it all. The hunt stories and the Sasquatch stories. Okay, man. First off, you gotta, hopefully, I'm gonna encourage you to just don't give a shit what anybody thinks, especially me. Don't ever govern what you're about to do because of what somebody might think in life. That's the first step to losing, as far as I'm concerned. That is the first step you take in the direction of losing in life. Worrying about looking for some kind of, just don't do it. Try not to. All right? It does not matter what anybody thinks. It never will. It never does. It just doesn't. It's all between your ears. Yeah, I want to hear about it. Please write it all in. word for word. Get it all in one. Don't think it's too much for now. Send the rest later. Throw it down, man. Just throw it down. Do it. And I don't know. We've had a handful. Oh, and I think you said I'm trying to. My attitude is it's all negative stuff. I don't think I'm trying to convince anybody of it's negative or positive at all. I tell everybody to take from what they will or leave it. What they need or leave it. That's about it. Everybody needs to be heard, but I'm not trying to direct anybody in any direction myself. So there. But anyway, I've had a handful of people say that some people who may be emotionally hurt are more susceptible to having an experience. I don't know myself. Maybe. I've had a handful of people write that in, but I don't know. I haven't put any energy in that direction myself. So I don't know. But anyways, get it to us to share it, man. Sorry I went through those experiences in life. That's unfortunate, but it's all part of life, right? It's all part of life. Almost every one of us is going to go through some kind of shit-eating experience. It's just the way it is. It just comes with being a human being. It's how you deal with it that counts, right? How you deal with it. We're all going to die. We're all going to die. We're dying right now. So I try to tell everybody to make sure you do what you love to do. Make sure you do it. Make sure you do it. Do what you love to do no matter frickin' what. Because when you finally quit that is when that is when you are a loser. When you quit or don't do what you love to do. That's when you flatline. You're done. You're done. You might as well pack it in. Right? Because if you're not doing what you love to do with this lifetime, what are you doing? What are you doing? Right? Donating your existence to facilitate others to do what they love to do, maybe off your back. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, I'm rambling, babbling. I gotta go. Put a little more work in so that I can do what I love to do and share more with all of you. I love doing that too. I love bringing truth. So there. Anyway, share my story at howtohunt.com. That's where you get it heard. Word for word. Word for word. It's funny. I'm going to keep going with that question I had yesterday. Rich gave me a link for a man who apparently has had communication with these beings through a medium or something. I'm definitely going to email him. I don't know when I can pull this off. Hopefully this week. And hopefully get a hold of this man and speak with him. I'm really interested in hearing. Right now, I have something's driving me toward learning about what's going on with communication. That's, for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I am being really driven into that direction currently and for the past few weeks. I want to know. That's a question I've got. I want to know. And I'm not hearing so far, I haven't heard from one person who's had a fluent back and forth conversation. But I'm curious. I've dabbled in the idea of doing it myself, attempting to, but I'm hesitant. And when I'm hesitant, I listen to me. I don't listen to anybody. I never listen to anybody. Nobody tells me what to do. Period. Nobody. But me and my gut. So, funny. I just had a funny memory. When this channel is getting popular, there's a lot of I guess what Rich explained yesterday, the ego. There's a lot of people out there that want to be the guy, want to be number one. I want to be the guy that discovers it. I'm going to get the pictures first. I know more than anybody. And when you have that in you, and if you're making yourself available and out here in front of a camera, then some prick like me gets a channel going, tells all you to jam it up your ass, and doesn't fall in line and doesn't try to fit in your little circle. They all spin on you pretty quick. But anyways, what I'm getting at is this one ding-dong out there who has a channel. I don't follow it, but I'll never forget. I was forwarded a video and told where to go on this one particular video. I guess he's talking to somebody, and he said, this dude said that he's having an interview with somebody. He interviews people. He says, I talked to the Sasquatch. They told me that Steve guy's an asshole. They told me he was an asshole. Oh my God. It still makes me laugh. I don't know why that memory just came up. I'll never forget, probably because my brain is gearing me up to looking into evidence of communication, smooth communication between these beings and humans. And I'll never forget when this idiot tried to tell his audience that Sasquatch told them that the How to Hunt guy Steve was an asshole. Like, isn't that funny? Come on, I'm saying this for the comedy. We're having a laugh at the end, okay? You guys are at the coffee table. That's funnier than shit, right? But more than my reaction always is now. Like I said, it's more amazing watching how humans govern themselves through this lifetime. It's amazing to watch. And then my question is, what made that guy's brain? What made a person wake up in the morning, and what made their brain come up with and spit out on video something like that? Isn't that amazing? Right? Isn't that amazing? Anyway, I don't even know why I shared that. That was a comical. I absolutely started spewing laughing the second I heard that. And then you just go, wow, holy shit, dude. Anyway, share my story out at hunt.com. Get it to me. And then be looking forward to sharing. I'll probably get Darren on here and share up his photos with him. And these photos are creepier than shit. It just went down this morning, less than an hour. Well, just before I hit record on here, he's texted me. He texted me those photos, and I'll let him share them here with you guys and explain some things. He said he didn't touch them. He walked away. I'm interested to go look at that. I'd like to find out what the bones are from. And there's 100%, there's no frickin' way that those bones weren't just put there. It's on the coast, it's facing the ocean, and we have amazing storms, and one bone sitting like this with the joint knuckle, and another one sitting on it, perfect. So could have been done this morning. There's no way it wasn't done before our last storm, which was just a day ago, 2 days ago, I think. It blew like crazy. There's no way those bones were put there that long ago. So would I go? He said he didn't touch them. Would I go touch them? Why not? They're left there. It's just a bone. We'll see. I'll be back later.